It's Raiders Hate Week here at the Chiefs Report, and we're going to get into a loaded show coming up in just a second. But Monday Night Football, Chiefs, Raiders. If you can't stand Vegas, type FLV in the comments. Get it going, FLV. I want to see 500, 600, hell, 1,000 comments because I know Mitchell Renz of the Raiders Report is going to type FKC on the Raiders Report. So let's counter that with FLV and let the better fan base win. Get the FLVs going here in the comments. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. Welcome into the Chiefs Report. Today's show presented by True Classic Tees. You can get 25% off with code CHAT when you go to trueclassictees.com/chat. T-shirts, polos like this one, and several other menswear for males of all sizes. 25% off. Code CHAT, trueclassictees.com/chat. All right, on today's show, Chiefs trade targets. 5 players Kansas City could go out and trade for to bolster this roster before the 2022 trade deadline. That, of course, comes and goes on November 1st. My birthday. Who said that? Going to be weird breaking down the trade deadline on my birthday this year. But that's how the calendar falls, as we'll have you covered for that as well. Another reason to subscribe. But that gives us, 3.5, 4 weeks to cover the latest and greatest trade rumors. Let's get into it here on the Chiefs Report. All right, trade target number 1. We'll go one by one here. Tyler Boyd, Bengals wide receiver. There's been some minor buzz that maybe Boyd could get traded at some point. I think more likely he'd be an offseason trade candidate as Bengals got to commit to paying Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, etc. But maybe he could get traded before the deadline here. You look at Tyler Boyd, he's been very consistent. His production's dipped a little bit the past couple of years, but that's because he's wide receiver 3 now behind Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But Tyler Boyd is a very, very good receiver. He's basically going to give you 70 catches for 800 or 900 yards in between, 4 and 6 touchdowns. Probably a little bit more if he came to Kansas City, quite frankly, because he is buried behind those top 2 guys in Cincinnati. I mean, you could make the argument that if he came to Kansas City, he would actually be this team's best receiver. Now, he does most of his damage out of the slot, so imagine plugging him in to this wide receiver depth chart. JuJu could play some more outside along with Valdes-Scantling, who strictly plays on the outside for the most part. Throw JuJu in the slot, then you got Hardman and Sky Moore rotating in as well. That would be pretty dynamic if you got a guy like Tyler Boyd in here. I would be surprised if Cincinnati would trade him to Kansas City, a team they're going to contend and compete against with this year. But if they're content that they're not going to pay him, then I could see the Bengals trading him. And if the Chiefs offered enough, you could bring Tyler Boyd to Kansas City. Let's go to trade target number 2. That is Denzel Mims. Probably a more realistic type of trade candidate here for Kansas City or, quite frankly, any other team. He's simply more gettable than Tyler Boyd because he's been a healthy scratch for the New York Jets so far this year. He's buried on their depth chart, wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5. Limited experience and limited production, less than 50% catch rate on targets. Now, a lot of that's been due to poor quarterback play up there in New York, but we saw him have a really strong final preseason game this year. He's only gotten to play in 20 games. He hasn't played yet this year in a game because, again, he's buried on that depth chart. Jets GM Joe Douglas has been stubborn because Mims and his agent requested a trade before the season. The Jets did not grant that, but they're not playing him. So why not trade him and move on? And I think this is the type of reclamation project that Brett Veach could take a stab at here with Denzel Mims and throw him onto this roster to see if the 6'3", 210-pound receiver could do any damage with Patrick Mahomes. Pick a receiver. Who would you rather trade for? And factor in that Tyler Boyd will obviously cost more draft capital. Type TB for Tyler Boyd. Type DM for Denzel Mims. Boyd is obviously a more proven, better player at this point. But again, Mims could be cheaper, and maybe the upside is still greater than Boyd's. Who knows? Let me know. TB for Boyd or DM for Denzel Mims. Today's show presented by True Classic Tees. I'm rocking one of their golf polos today, and I'm a huge fan of True Classic because I think their clothing is very versatile. You can throw on one of their T-shirts, sports coat over that, over the top and go out to a nice club, a nice bar, a nice dinner, and feel a lot fancier than it necessarily is. That's the versatility. You can go onto the golf course with their polo line. They have athletic gear as well, both in the t-shirts and polo line. I love their shorts. Tons of different menswear for males of all sizes. True Classic's promise to you is that they're going to show off the good parts of the body that you're repping, whether it's a six-pack or whether you got a bit of a beer gut in football season because, hey, you're drinking a lot of beers on game day like your boy is here. TrueClassicTees.com/chat. Look good, play good, feel comfortable. True Classic Tees. Check the comments, check the description. Promo code CHAT, 25% off at TrueClassicTees.com/chat. All right, let's go to trade target number 3 as we move to the defensive side of the ball. A player we've talked about a decent amount. That, of course, is Robert Quinn, the edge in Chicago. Now, last year, he had a monster season. 49 tackles, 18.5 sacks, 17 tackles for loss, and 4 forced fumbles. He was, I think, the most underrated defensive player in the NFL last year. He was just stuck on a bad team, so people didn't notice how good he was. Now, this year through 4 games, he hasn't been as productive. 1 sack, couple of quarterback hits, but he's still gotten decent pressure. We knew he wasn't going to do what he did last year. I remember coming on this show and being like, yeah, like he might be more like an 8 to 9 sack guy. And I still think that's probably about the range he'll be. He'll probably give anywhere from 7 to 10 sacks, good pressure rate, and still be productive. At worst, he could come into this front 4 and be a rotation guy. Frank Clark hasn't done much this year. I think Robert Quinn could be as productive, if not more than him. George Karlaftis has been solid, but he's still a rookie. Carlos Dunlap's been a little quiet, a guy I thought I would see do a little bit more. Mike Dana's been banged up, so I think you could certainly benefit from adding another pass rusher. And if Robert Quinn and the Bears keep losing games, let's say they're 3-5 before the deadline, they're 2-2 right now, I could see Bears GM and former Chiefs front office executive Ryan Poles looking to pull the trigger and trying to add some draft capital for a veteran like Robert Quinn. Subscribe now to the Chiefs Report. More subs equals more videos. Sub for Chiefs dubs. More subs we get, more dubs we're going to get, more watch parties we're going to be able to do, and more content we'll be able to film for you guys and publish on this show. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. More subs we get, more videos we're able to do. It's as simple as that. All right, a couple more here. Daron Payne, the defensive tackle out of Washington. I want to say we talked about him in the offseason because, remember, he requested a trade at one point. Nothing materialized, so he's playing out the final year of his contract with the Commanders. He's got 15 tackles, couple sacks, already 6 quarterback hits so far this year as an interior pass rusher. I said it then, I'll say it now. Pairing Daron Payne with Chris Jones, that would give you one of the most dynamic pass-rushing defensive tackle duos in recent memory. Because Chris Jones, I can't remember who had the stat. His pressure rate is like 50% right now or something insane. He's leading the NFL for interior pass rushers. Daron Payne is really good at rushing the passer from that D-tack position as well. Put them next to each other and let the big dogs eat. Let's freaking go. Get after the quarterback with Daron Payne. 3rd-round pick for Payne. Who says no? Make it happen, Brett Veach. What position would help this Chiefs team more? We just talked about defensive tackle and Daron Payne. We talked about edge with Robert Quinn. Let me know. DT, edge, I want to hear it from Chiefs Kingdom. Which position do you think would help this team more? All right, one more trade target, and then we are going to get out of here. Sidney Jones with the Seattle Seahawks, vet corner who's been around and the last couple years hasn't been quite as productive. Only played in 2 games this year, has 5 tackles. Last year did have 10 breakups but no interceptions. 2 picks in each of the 2 prior years, 17 combined PBUs as well. Now, Sidney Jones isn't like a number 1 or even a lockdown number 2, but Trent McDuffie's been banged up. If you suffered another injury somewhere, you could be a little thin. You don't want to have to play Joshua Williams or Chris Lamons if you don't have to. But you are in a pretty good spot with Rashad Fenton, L'Jarius Sneed, and Jalen Watson, who continues to impress as a 7th-round rookie. But what I'll also say is you can't have enough corners in today's NFL. You can't have enough defensive backs. It's a passing league. The good teams in the playoffs are going to throw the ball all over the yard. You still got to play Justin Herbert again. You got to play some good passing attacks coming up. In the AFC, you're going to have to go through teams like Josh Allen and the Bengals Bengals, or Josh Allen and the Bills, Joe Burrow and the Bengals, these teams that are going to throw the football. So the more DBs you have, the better. Sidney Jones says that cheap trade target. I could see a potential move being made by Brett Veach. Plus, he's been connected to trade rumors as he could be on the NFL trade block. All right, there you have it. 5 players that I think the Chiefs could go out and trade for before the November 1st NFL trade deadline. Now you have your opportunity. If you could pick any player in the NFL that the Chiefs should go and trade for right now, name that player for me. Let me know who it is. Name a player the Chiefs should go out and trade for. Appreciate you guys for tuning in to today's Chiefs Report. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. Please subscribe to the channel. We will continue to hit you guys with the latest Chiefs news and rumors here on a daily basis. So subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow with another video.